Never has there been a time more required for a CEO, a business leader, to stick their neck out, and no better person to talk to about sticking your neck out than Kurt Gehring. He's from the Gehring Group out of West Palm Beach, Florida. And Kurt, just as we launch into this conversation and how small business is moving forward, let's talk a little bit about what the Gehring Group does, first of all, in terms of public sector, and how your business is now responding to what first responders need most at this time.
Yeah, well, thanks, Garrett. I appreciate the time. And I just wanted to more talk about the role of public sector in our society. And we just have an unusual business model. We actually handle employee benefits and property casualty liability insurances, but do it for public sector entities. And what does public sector mean? It means firemen, it means police officers, it means public works, people that are making sure that the water's still running, people that are picking up the garbage, your transit workers, your all these people. I mean, even like your tax collector, you know, if the taxes aren't collected, we got a problem too. All of those people are now classified as necessary employees. What does that mean? It means that although we all are at home, you know, distancing ourselves from everybody, they don't necessarily have the opportunity to do that. I mean, there's some security working for public sector, but at the same time, when you're talking about sticking your neck out, that's kind of how it came from. We stick our neck out for them because they stick our neck out for us, and we see it all the time.
Are you as well, Kurt, in this? You know, we know there's so much negative news, part of what we're doing right now, and not only negative, but hard news that has to be reported. We get that. But are you also seeing, with all the first responders you're dealing with, that there's some incredible inspiring stories happening as well to help balance our perspective on what's evolving?
Well, what I see in some of the people I'm close with, I mean, some of the stories is, I know that there's people that are at risk, meaning that they know they have either a preconceived, like a cancer or something that they were dealing with, asthma and things like that. But because they feel as though they took an oath and that's what their job is, it's kind of like the fireman that sees the fire and runs in and everybody else is running out. There's a lot of stories with that. And then on top of that, you got to think about, they come home every day, and after being exposed, what do? The stories are, wife's in another room, she sleeps in another room. As soon as I come home, I take a shower, I burn my clothes. No, they don't burn the clothes, but they, you know, wash the clothes and all the things you hear about, because, you know, we know a lot about it, but we don't know a lot about, you know, contracting this thing. So they're very careful. So they've been living like that for, you know, we've known about it for a couple weeks, 3 weeks or whatever. They've been known about a lot longer than that, you know, and being careful. So this is just an extra added stress on top of everything else they do on a daily basis. And they're kind of, we know they're there, we know what they do, but you don't walk a million miles in their shoes. So it's very hard to kind of empathize with what they're going through.
And I do know this, since, I mean, we met, I think it was back in September of last year, and then we saw each other again not too long afterwards. And then I got a sense of what you do in employee benefits, but fundamentally, you're the kind of company that does stick your neck out. But now it seems, Kurt, what I'm sensing is that you're going way above and beyond to make sure that your company is more connected to its customers than ever before. And I'm thinking there's a universal message in that. Can you expand on that idea of how important it is to be more connected to the people, you know, you serve or do business with?
Well, I think it's, you know, we're located in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, you know, or Florida period. So, you know, every year in the summer we have the spinning clouds coming at us, the hurricanes. And we were lucky in the sense that we already had a hurricane plan. So we were able to go virtual pretty quickly, right when it first started. And the reason I talk about that is, although we've had remote employees, we haven't been remote as an entire company. So your managers, your everybody. So when you start going remote, you know, we really quickly realized that having the face-to-face and seeing the person is so much more important than just, you know, a chat with voice. There's something about seeing the person. You feel a little bit more connected. You actually are invited into the person's office. And that gives people a sense of comfort that, hey, you're still there. So, you know, one thing is trying to do more seminars and things like that. The other thing we do insurance, but part of that insurance is there's a lot of statutes that come out. There was there's a Families First Act that came out, which talked about, your paid leave and all those types of things, which are an employee benefit. It changed. And then there was the CARES Act, which had a lot to do with taxes. So we actually had about a 2.5-hour seminar on that. And it was all with 2 attorneys, and it was just jam-packed with details and stuff. We had almost over 100 questions from that seminar, but we did it like almost 2 days after that act was actually put on the streets, because it's all up to interpretation. You've got all these employers out there saying, what can I do for my employees? How am I allowed to do this? Am I not allowed to do this? The other thing is, there's also the Payroll Protection Act, which municipalities don't necessarily participate in, but that also is something that we've been helping people with, to understand that there is a way to maybe get through this hump, even if you're restaurant or what you have with some of these industries that have just gone from, revenue to zero. There is some help out there to help them get through that, this time. And, knock on wood, hopefully we're only under this for another couple more weeks and we start seeing some relief,
Yeah. And Kurt, one of the things that so impressed me when I was visiting with you the last time was the unbelievable amount of team spirit at the Gehring Group, Bentech, the companies that you're part of. I wonder if you can kind of share what your insights are right now on team unity, how crucial it is, the role of the leader. Like, we've got a lot of CEOs and entrepreneurs watching these videos now, but what has been your experience? What have you found that's been really working to help pull folks together?
Well, I'd say any, my graph was messing up with me there. Any entity, I think the first thing, or anytime you have a group of people, the number one problem is communication. So to me, to have a lot of communication points and talk to people face to face, tell them really what's going on, whether it's good news or bad news. People want to hear the right news. And I think that's what we've done. I mean, we have our tips and we don't call it that word. We call it tidbits and tips meeting every week here. Basically what it is anybody has anything they want to talk about, we tell them, where we're at financially. We tell them, what we've heard, who we've helped, if there's anybody in our team that needs help, and anybody in their circle that needs help financially, or something we can do with testing or what have you. Because the biggest thing that I see, and I've talked to a lot of people that actually have contracted the coronavirus, is they're scared. And it's just like anything. If you have cancer, you have anything, the first thing that happens is, who do I talk to? Where do I get information? And lending an ear to people and our employees is important. The other things, I think we also have done a lot to keep our employees engaged. One thing is everybody's heard about the happy hours, the virtual happy hours. I think everybody's kind of jumped on that. But having those weekly meetings, I think, have been great. We've also have a channel called Surviving Work at Home. And what we did is we have a kind of a virtual area where our employees can post how they're getting through the day and different things they've done to kind of keep their sanity and stuff like that. And we've seen a lot more, people's pets and all that kind of stuff too on those. But, is there a recipe that's easy? Is there, what have you done with this and that and the other? And any tips of helping me get through the day with us to work easy, better with our technologies and stuff like that. But our staff, I hear it all the time. For some reason, I mean, the people we've hired are awesome. They are super connected with our clients. As soon as something comes out, they're out there giving them the information, answering questions. And one of the other things, Chester Elton was another speaker we had. He was somebody we were going to have. You might know the name because he's really popular with the Visage. The biggest thing he said in his speech was just be there and lend an ear to somebody. And he said that if you're thinking about somebody, don't just think about them, pick up the phone, call them right now and see how they're doing. Because it happens all the time, right? Oh, I need to call this person, or I need to call that person. What he said is, as soon as you hear the name, as soon as it's in your head, and and I know I got a couple calls, it was kind of funny, and I knew where it came from. But I did the same thing. And I think that's, people that hadn't heard from me for a while, just saying, hey, I know you might be going through a tough time with all of this stuff. How are you doing? That alone is I think important too. So all of that stuff, we have those kind of people, I think, that work for us. They're doing it for other people. So we're trying to do it for them as well.
I love what you just said, how simple that was. It's a real easy miniaturized version of what it means to stick your neck out and just, pick up the phone and call someone. And I love hearing about these virtual, team huddles and virtual happy hours and things. And I know you've always done a lot of initiatives in that regard to foster that spirit of camaraderie. But Kurt, one of the things that you did not too long ago on social media was you posted a video, and I know it went through your email distribution system, and it was kind of like, when I saw it, I thought, there's a wartime CEO. There's the guy looking the camera right in the eye. Tell us a little bit about how important you think it is for the CEO to be, as it were, leading from the front.
Well, I think when you give a presentation, and I give a lot of presentations to very large groups of people and stuff like that, and even when you're on some of these calls, it's the deafening silence every once in a while. It's like, does anybody have an idea on that? And crickets. I think it's really important that somebody that is the leader, looks the camera in the eye and looks at everyone and says, hey, we're here, we care, and is there anything we can do? That we have a lot of resources, stuff like that. I find that almost by chance sometimes we help people because they say something in a conversation and we go, oh wait, we can actually help you with that. So kind of getting that information out as to what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be doing it. I mean, that's to me critical. And I also think that it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be a giant conversation. It's just more of a, hey, we do have a leader, the person's there, and there's so many people doing stuff in our company. Some of the stuff I don't know, but I hear about it. I think it's important that they know that we've got their backs. We'll stick our neck out for them as well. And I think everyone sticks their neck out. I think the thing about, again, going back to our first responders and stuff, is I wouldn't say they don't have a choice, because they could always quit their jobs, but they pick that job because that's what they want to do. We do it every day, and I just love finding people out there that do that. I think one of the things, we have a company in Jupiter here that started making masks. They're a tailor, so they got no business coming in. So they just started, they got the actual imprint to make the mask, and they just started making them, and no money, to just start giving them to people. So we actually are going to, financially help them out and actually buy a lot of those for our folks and stuff, because we think it's important.
Kurt, listen, it's a breath of fresh air as always talking to you, but now more than ever, any final thoughts in terms of what people need to know, especially those people leading companies? I know you're busier than ever. Is there any sort of advice hard-earned advice you've picked up over the last 3 weeks that you could share right now?
I think I'm in Vistage groups as you are, and what's interesting, I was with 3 different groups a couple weeks ago, or not 3, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, just before they stopped everything, and they started talking about the canceling and shutting down a lot of these venues. And one of the guys that was sitting next to me, he was having the worst day of his life, because he was somebody that I think he provided commissary to, like, concerts and all of that stuff. It was very large business, but basically right from, and the biggest thing that the group said to him, and I think the people in that situation, we're fortunate with where we're at financially, but we have concerns. It's going to hit public sector just like it's hitting everybody else. But is to, try to make sure you get every resource you possibly can that's out there, people out there trying to help you to get over this hump. If you can furlough your people and keep those people, at least in benefits, so you get that good talent back. Because remember, talent was hard to find, and as soon as we get back into the swing of things, I think people are going to be looking at those companies ethically. How did they treat people? How did they treat their employees? There's a way to tell people, I have no money to pay you, and you just got to be careful, I think, with that, and it really shows the kind of person you are. So that's my biggest recommendation is, this is the best time to step up, and you shouldn't be sitting back. There's a lot of things you can do and a lot of effort. Just what we're doing here socially is a different thing for us. But I think it's important to talk to people.
Very, very well said, Kurt. And on that note, I really want to thank Kurt Gehring from Florida, part of the Gehring group, and they are a company that already, in many ways, were always prepared to stick their neck out, but now more than ever. And as we look at how we need to lead together in these unpredictable times, we have to find ways, just have to find the positive, especially with business. Business right now is, and small business is under incredible pressure. And if you're not careful, it's very, very easy to be drowned out, to get into the hurricane, the tsunami of all the bad news that's coming out on all the television networks and different social media feeds. So whatever we can as a business community, whoever's watching this right now and sharing it with others, whatever we can do as a business community is going to help us all stay together and stay focused. And as Kurt mentioned, keep moving forward through these very unpredictable times.